Welcome to the Learning in Service Learning, your guide to critical thinking and reflection. In this podcast, we will focus on the best practices of critical reflection and provide ideas of how you may start to construct assignments for your own course. Service learning scholars Hatcher and Bringle state that critical reflection is the intentional consideration of an experience in light of particular learning objectives. In the service learning field, we use interchangeably the terms critical reflection, reflection, critical thinking, critical reflective thinking, and so on. Service learning is an academic tool for teaching and learning. It is the act of critical reflection that puts the learning in service learning. Without intentionally structured assignments and guided class discussions that apply critical thinking skills to the service experience, students are not service learners, they are volunteers. Reflection assignments serve as the evaluative, graded measure of students' knowledge. As the American Association of Community Colleges states, reflection is intended to develop students' academic skills. It is crucial that reflection assignments are grounded in the learning outcomes of the course. Reflection is the tool used to connect the service experience to coursework, but it is also intended to develop critical thinking skills. Review your course learning objectives, and just as you considered which objectives could be addressed through service in the community, now consider which objectives can be reached through reflection assignments. In addition to the discipline-specific outcomes listed in your syllabus, keep in mind the following outcomes commonly addressed by service learning experiences, regardless of discipline: leadership skills, problem solving, critical thinking, communication, both written and oral, teamwork skills, civic competencies, and more. It is a common misconception that students receive a grade for volunteering. Students should not be given a grade simply for volunteering in the community. As with any academic exercise, we grade the outcome, the knowledge, and the skills acquired. Students should receive a grade based on the learning they demonstrate, learning enhanced by their service experience. Reflection assignments are the graded evaluative measure, and as such, when reviewing these assignments, ask yourself, did students more fully understand course content because of his or her work in the community? After the service learning experience, can this student successfully demonstrate an understanding of course learning objectives? Textbooks provide chapter summaries, bold words, highlights, examples. They clarify misconceptions and other useful tools to move students through the experience of reading. Service work, on the other hand, is dynamic, messy, and provides no summaries, bold words, or highlights to move students through the experience of doing. That is, until you structure and guide reflection assignments. Students need to be guided to connect coursework and service work. Think of yourself less as a sage on the stage dispensing lectures, and begin to see yourself as a guide on the side, coaching students through a transformative experience. You should pose questions, prompt responses with provocative statements, provide supplemental readings, do anything you can to help frame the student's experience. If all we ask students is, "Tell me about your service learning experience," we cannot assume that students will give us more than a travel log of basic facts. In general, most students will report, "I went to the food bank, I talked to Jose, I called Sally, but she wasn't there." Remember that we want students to reflect on their service experience as it relates to course content and course learning objectives, and also as their service relates to the larger concept of civic responsibility. Without focused questions and statements to which they respond, few students will make the connections we need them to make. An example of a well-constructed prompt would be to take a provocative statement from the textbook and ask students to tell you how that claim is either supported or discredited by their experience in the community. The 6 C's of reflection come from a National Campus Compact website that will be referenced in full at the end of this podcast. The first C is connected. Reflection is the means through which faculty help students make meaningful connections between service work and course content. If you remember nothing else about reflection, remember this: it ties the service to your curriculum, course objectives, and the larger concept of civic responsibility. Continuous. Students must have the opportunity to reflect before, during, and after the service experience. If students only reflect when the experience is finished, we not only miss the opportunity to make any corrections needed to the experience, but we lose a very valuable opportunity to facilitate students' growth and thoughts about their work. Challenging. Reflection is meant to provoke thought, challenge students' norms, and help them explore new ways of problem solving. Over the course of the semester, reflection assignments should gradually move students from micro to macro thinking. You should work to move students from a discussion of the personal impacts of their service to the impact their service has on the local community, perhaps the impact on the state or nation, and ultimately, what impact might their service have on global systems. Ask them how their sense of self within a community setting has changed or not changed because of this experience. Coaching. As was mentioned before, begin to think of yourself as a guide on the side, a mentor, and a coach to students as they make their way through the transformative service learning experience. You should challenge them and also support them, creating a safe, respectful environment. Contextualized. When creating assignments and facilitating reflection, consider the external factors influencing the reflection situation, such as students' prior knowledge and current level of knowledge, community needs, course objectives, and concerns of the like. It is imperative that you keep a big picture perspective of the experience as a whole. Communication. Reflection should provide opportunities for communication with peers, faculty, community organizations, and other stakeholders. As you structure reflection, take special care to ensure it does not occur in a vacuum or is not an isolating experience for students. The what, so what, now what reflection cycle is a very simple way to structure your reflection assignments. Remember the example of the food bank conversation? You asked your students to tell you about the service learning experience, and most students report, "I went to the food bank, talked to Jose, called Sally, she wasn't there." That's fine on the initial level of what happened, who did you talk to, what task did you perform, but your job as an instructor is to move students beyond that very basic response. Getting students to talk about the so what level is critical. So what does that have to do with our lecture today? So what does that have to do with what you read in your textbook? So what, so what, so what? You are here to help students make that connection. Ideally, we move students through to the now what stage. We'll discuss the topic of civic responsibility in a moment, but keep in mind that regardless of discipline, regardless of curricula, the overarching goal of service learning pedagogy is to produce responsible, engaged, well-informed, proactive citizens. Asking students to connect their service to larger issues and systemic problems takes them from a diary entry about serving soup at the homeless shelter to asking why we have homeless shelters in the first place, why do we not build affordable housing, and so on. True learning occurs when we think something, we feel something about what we're thinking, and we then do something with that knowledge. The act of doing solidifies the learning and the new information. When structuring reflection assignments, remember ABC 1, 2, 3. Reflection should touch on affect or feelings, behavior or actions, and cognition, what the students are learning about course content themselves and the world. Service learning reflection moves from the literal experience to the global implications and systemic issues that create the community needs in the first place. Not all students will start nor end at the same level of cognitive awareness. Neither will all faculty members, for that matter. Be prepared to honor all points on the continuum and recognize that such a continuum does exist. At its best, service learning is transformative. Assignments should be challenging and provocative. We want students to leave their comfort zone, challenge norms, question their prejudice, and examine worldviews. In other words, we want them to think critically. That's a lot to expect from students. If we provide only the opportunity to reflect in written journal form, what about the students who learn verbally? If we only have class discussions, what about the students who learn kinesthetically, those who need to move and touch and create? Also keep in mind that different reflection styles may be appropriate during different stages of the service learning experience. Intentionally building into your course a variety of reflection methods is essential if we are to engage all learning styles. Fortunately, service learning reflection easily lends itself to creativity. Consider allowing students to reflect through song, photography, essays, poetry, blogs, oral reports, collages, skits they create with teammates, YouTube, etc. For sample assignments and more ideas, visit the Exchange website provided at the end of this podcast. Regardless of discipline, regardless of curricula, as was mentioned previously, the overarching goal of service learning pedagogy is to produce a responsible, engaged, well-informed, proactive citizenry. However, it is important to remember that, as Thomas Ehrlich states, we are not promoting a single type of civic or political engagement, instead urging that the effective operation of social systems and the successful achievement of collective goals demand the time, attention, understanding, and action of all citizens. Long after your course is over, we hope that the experience of service in the community, critical thinking, and personal introspection will have a lasting impact on the lives of our students, an impact they will put in motion toward the common good. National Campus Compact, an organization dedicated entirely to the advancement of service learning pedagogy in higher education, produced a reflection toolkit for instructors. This website is very comprehensive and rich with data about assessment practices, sample grading rubrics, and much more. It is recommended that faculty new to service learning take a moment to review this rich resource. For more information on service learning, visit the Exchange, the Thane Center's website. You are also encouraged to contact Gail Jessen, Service Learning Coordinator at Salt Lake Community College, and brainstorm possibilities for your course. In the faculty section of the Exchange, you will find a list of services the Thane Center for Service and Learning offers. Highlights include the Service Learning Grant and Designation Program. Recognized by the Faculty Senate Curriculum Committee, the Service Learning Advisory Board awards course designation, and each semester a limited number of faculty submitting outstanding proposals receive a $1,000 grant. Through the Service Learning Faculty Mentorship, the Thane Center offers a wide variety of trainings, workshops, brown bags, dialogues, and more. Most trainings are customized for beginning, intermediate, and advanced practitioners. Upcoming events are posted in the Exchange. The Exchange is also packed with resources, handbooks, toolkits, curriculum guides, web links, and more. Contact the Thane Center for Service and Learning today and begin exploring the world of engaged learning.